It begins in silence, doesn't it? The slow shifting of the years. The quiet retreat of strength. One day, you find yourself gripping the handrail as you descend a flight of stairs that once required nothing more than a casual step. You notice how your hands, once firm and agile, tremble ever so slightly when you button your shirt. You feel it in the softness of your legs, in the hesitation of your stride, in the fog that sometimes clouds your morning thoughts. And yet, inside you, is a will that has not aged a single day. A will that remembers running barefoot through warm grass. That recalls the laughter of children, the arms of love, the hands that built families, homes, and histories. You are not weak. You are weathered. And weathered wood is the strongest of all. But like any structure that has stood through storms, it must be protected from within. As a physician, I've sat with thousands of older adults in hushed exam rooms. I've listened not just to heartbeats, but to stories, lives wrapped in love and loss, in sacrifice and resilience. And over time, I've come to learn a difficult truth: the body doesn't fall apart in great crashes. It withers in whispers. It erodes in teaspoons, in daily decisions so small they're almost invisible, like what you reach for in your pantry when your stomach quietly rumbles at 3 p.m. Nuts. A handful here. A snack there. They feel innocent. Even healthy. And often, they are. But some are not. Some are Trojan horses, full of substances that wear down the body's core defenses, especially as we age. They carry fats that inflame rather than nourish. Compounds that confuse the immune system. And chemicals that quietly tax kidneys, hearts, and livers already trying their best to keep pace. So let us begin there, not with fear, but with knowledge. Because knowledge is power. And at this stage in your life, you deserve nothing less than the truth, spoken with care. Let's start with one of the simplest, most misunderstood miracles, the almond. Almonds are not just nuts. They are the scaffolding of stronger bones. They hold within them a whisper of calcium, not enough to replace the loss, but enough to slow the tide. You see, after 60, the skeleton begins to thin. Not like melting ice, but like dry branches hollowing silently, until one day, a small fall breaks not just a bone, but independence. A quarter cup of almonds gives nearly 100 milligrams of calcium. More importantly, it brings magnesium, the mineral most seniors are starved for, yet never think about. Magnesium doesn't just help you sleep. It guides calcium to the bones and keeps it out of the arteries, where it can harden and clog. It's the traffic cop of the bloodstream, the unseen guardian of balance. I've had patients who began taking magnesium supplements, only to find their nighttime leg cramps vanish within weeks. But supplements can be tricky, too much, and digestion rebels. Almonds offer this mineral in nature's dosage. With each chew, they become medicine. Almonds are not just good for your bones, they're a balm for your brain. Tufts University researchers have shown they shield neurons from oxidative stress. Their skins, that faint brown coat, are laced with flavonoids. When flavonoids meet vitamin E, something extraordinary happens: they double their antioxidant effect, creating a shield against the microdamages that, over time, dim the clarity of thought and memory. But they must be respected. For elders with trouble swallowing, raw almonds must be chewed slowly, thoughtfully. Let eating be a meditation. Let it awaken mindfulness, not mindlessness. Next, let's journey into the walnut, nature's own portrait of the human brain. Cracked open, its folds and curves mirror our cerebral landscape. And for good reason. Walnuts are the richest plant source of omega-3 alpha-linolenic acid, the same family of fats found in fatty fish, the very nutrients our brains crave as we age. Without them, cell membranes stiffen, communication slows, and the architecture of thought, memory, clarity, processing begins to crumble. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition revealed that seniors who consumed just 1.5 ounces of walnuts daily showed measurable improvements in cognitive flexibility, that precious ability to pivot thoughts, to adapt, to respond, not just react. This is not anecdote. This is measurable, peer-reviewed science. And then there is melatonin. Yes, the sleep hormone. Most seniors are low in it. But walnuts provided naturally a trace, a trickle, just enough to help nudge the rhythms of night back into alignment. I've recommended walnuts to my patients with fractured sleep not as a cure-all, but as part of a sleep ritual. A handful before dusk. A dark room. No screens. Just rest. The beauty of walnuts goes deeper. They carry polyphenol that tame neural inflammation. Arginine, an amino acid, supports vascular function. In short, they feed both the mind and the map that carries blood to it. 7 walnut halves a day, not a bowl, not a bag. That's all you need. Store them cold. Keep their oils fresh. Their bitterness is their badge of truth, do not fear it. It means they're still alive with life-giving compounds. Now, let us speak of pistachios. Oh, the humble pistachio, often seen as a treat, a garnish, an afterthought. But it is none of those. It is a secret ally. Among all nuts, pistachios carry perhaps the most elegant solution to one of aging's quietest threats, high blood pressure. How? Through potassium. At nearly 285 milligrams per ounce, they rival bananas, but without the sugar. This potassium pushes sodium out of cells, relaxes vessel walls, and lets blood flow with less resistance. In some studies, pistachios lowered systolic blood pressure by up to 5 points without a pill. And then there's lutein and zeaxanthin pigments that paint the pistachio in greens and purples. These are not just colors. They are defenders of the eye's macula, the tiny center of your vision. They slow macular degeneration, the leading cause of blindness after 60. The act of shelling pistachios may seem tedious. But for seniors, it is a gift. It slows eating. It focuses the mind. It engages the fingers. It's a subtle exercise, one that trains patience, coordination, and portion control. 49 pistachios a day. That's the count. Not more, not less. And finally, there is the titan, the Brazil nut. Oversized. Underestimated. And often misused. Brazil nuts carry within them selenium, not a little, but a flood. One nut contains over 130% of your daily needs. Selenium is the spark that activates thyroid hormones. And after 60, thyroid decline is often mistaken for aging itself, fatigue, weight gain, apathy. But it's not age. It's chemistry. In my clinic, I've seen older adults come alive after correcting subtle thyroid deficiencies. Their eyes brighten. Their gait quickens. Their laughter returns. But here's the catch: too much selenium is toxic. Brazil nuts are not for casual munching. 1 to 2 per day, that's the sacred limit. Kept cool, eaten whole. Their creamy taste is seductive, but restraint is the remedy. For those constipated, their fiber and oils gently move the bowels. For those forgetful, their antioxidant load slows the shortening of telomeres, those biological clock hands ticking away on our chromosomes. Yes, one nut can do all that. But just as there are protectors, there are predators. And now, we turn to the nuts that do not heal, but harm. Peanuts. The great imposters. They are not even nuts, but legumes. Grown underground, susceptible to molds. Aflatoxins, those invisible poisons, can colonize them, and our aging livers, already less efficient, struggle to detox. Every year, I meet seniors who wonder why their joints ache, their memory dulls, their digestion sours, and so often, peanuts are a silent accomplice. Worse still, they are omega-6 rich fats that inflame, rather than soothe. In the elderly, inflammation is the fire behind the diseases we dread most: heart disease, Alzheimer's, arthritis. And peanut butter? A minefield. Salt. Sugar. Hydrogenated oils. Not the food of healing, but the food of habit. But habits can change. Cashews, too, carry a hidden blade. They seem soft, harmless. But their carbohydrates spike blood sugar, a danger in a population where nearly half have prediabetes or diabetes. Their oxalates bind calcium. Their enzyme inhibitors slow digestion. And their creamy texture? It hides the ease with which they are overconsumed, leading to weight gain, kidney stone risk, and gallbladder stress. Macadamia nuts, though elegant, are a caloric trap. They are dense, saturated fat heavy, and hard on aged teeth. I've seen crowns broken by them. I've seen blood work worsen in patients who believed they were making healthy choices. Choices driven by marketing, not medicine. And pine nuts, tiny though they are, interfere with medications. They spark metallic taste disorders. They oxidize fast. And they add nothing that cannot be found elsewhere with less risk. It is not about fear. It is about reverence. Reverence for your own body. For this remarkable vessel that has carried you through decades of storms and sunlight. You deserve the kind of care that sees you not as a number, but as a soul. And care begins in the kitchen. Let every handful be a decision toward strength, not frailty. Toward clarity, not confusion. Toward dignity, not decline. Your story is still being written. And what you eat today becomes your ability tomorrow. I've often said this in my clinic, sometimes to a husband who's just begun to shuffle where he used to stride, sometimes to a wife whose hands no longer close jars or clasp jewelry with ease. Your body listens to everything you feed it. Every bite is a conversation. And the older we get, the more intimate and sensitive that conversation becomes. What once felt harmless late-night snacks, salty roasted blends, overly sweetened treats now echo louder through our arteries, our nerves, our bones. The metabolism slows, yes, but that's not all. Absorption changes. Enzymes work differently. Even our gut flora, the invisible garden of bacteria that protect us, shifts. And so, food once neutral may now inflame. Food once helpful may now hinder. And in the softest of betrayals, nuts, those once praised paragons of health, can turn rogue. Peanuts were the first we warned against. But now, let's speak more of cashews, because they are dangerous not through poison, but seduction. Their creamy bite. Their subtle sweetness. Their buttery texture. For many older adults, they seem like a perfect comfort food, easy to chew, easy to love. But that's the trap. Cashews are higher in carbs than most nuts, over 9 grams per ounce, and lower in fiber. That means when you eat them, especially alone or between meals, your blood sugar surges. For the nearly 50% of older Americans with prediabetes or diabetes, this is like stoking a slow-burning fire in the pancreas. Silent at first, until one day it becomes heat your body can no longer put out. But it's not just the sugar spike. Cashews are rich in oxalates, compounds that bind calcium in your gut, robbing your bones. In a younger body, this might go unnoticed. But in a 70-year-old with thinning femurs and shrinking vertebrae, this matters. Oxalates also increase the risk of kidney stones, already more common in older adults. I've seen patients double over in pain from tiny stones no bigger than a grain of sand. Then there's the hidden danger, uracil. A naturally occurring toxin found in the shell of cashews, also present in poison ivy. Of course, it's removed during processing. But the heat and chemical extraction needed to do this strips the nut of much of its natural value. And the store-bought versions? Often salted, roasted in cheap oils, and made into spreads with added sugars and preservatives. Older adults are already more likely to have digestive sensitivities. Cashew enzyme inhibitors can further slow protein digestion. And because seniors often have decreased stomach acid, a little-known but common condition, proteins don't break down efficiently. This can lead to bloating, indigestion, and worst of all, undernutrition. You may eat and still be malnourished. There is no kindness in cashews for the aging body. Not when compared to walnuts, almonds, or even the modest pistachio. But what about macadamia nuts? Ah, yes. The gourmet darling. Velvety. Buttery. Rare. A delicacy. But to the elder gut, liver, and gallbladder, they are a test. Macadamias are the most calorie-dense nut of all, nearly 200 calories in just one small ounce. For someone with a slower metabolism, a smaller appetite, and a need for nutrient-rich foods, this is nutritional theft. It fills without feeding. It satiates without serving. Then there's the fat, 22 grams per ounce, including 3 grams of saturated fat. While the saturated fat in macadamias may be less inflammatory than animal sources, it still raises LDL in many people. And for the millions of seniors on statins or managing heart disease, this isn't a small concern. It's another drop in an already brimming bucket. Macadamias are also dense, hard on teeth that may be brittle, crowned, or artificial. I've had patients break dental work on them. And their cost? Prohibitive for many seniors. Which means some turn to cheaper, lower quality imports, often rancid, loaded with damaged oils. Macadamias aren't evil. But they are indulgent. And the truth is, indulgence without return is a poor exchange in the golden years. Let us now turn to the last, the slipperiest of all, pine nuts. They are small. Deceptively so. But pine nuts bring a complexity that most doctors and patients overlook. First, they contain compounds that interfere with dozens of medications. Statins. Blood pressure meds. Antidepressants. Over 60% of prescriptions written for older adults may be affected by foods like this, yet rarely is the warning given. I've had patients on pine nut-rich diets develop pine mouth, a strange, metallic taste that ruins every meal for weeks. For a younger person, this is annoying. For a senior already losing appetite, it's dangerous. Because once eating becomes unpleasant, nutrition suffers. Energy wanes. Immunity weakens. A downward spiral begins. Pine nuts are also aspirated easily. Their small, oily shape makes them a choking hazard, especially in older adults with dry mouth from medications or difficulty swallowing, a common, unspoken reality for over 70% of seniors on multiple drugs. They oxidize rapidly, producing inflammatory byproducts. And for elders with arthritis, autoimmune diseases, or chronic inflammation, that's not just a nuisance. It's fuel on a fire. Their use in pesto may feel harmless. But when oils are heated, when oxidation occurs, and when pine nuts are consumed often, the risk outweighs the reward. So now, we've walked the orchard together. We've seen the almond, strong and noble, bearing gifts of calcium and calm. The walnut, cradling the brain in its folds, whispering omega-3s into the bloodstream. The pistachio, painted in carotenoids, supporting pressure and vision with grace. The Brazil nut, rich with selenium, offering thyroid renewal in a single bite. And we've seen their shadows. The peanut, mold-prone and inflammatory. The cashew, sweet-talking its way into spiking sugar and binding bones. The macadamia, dressed in excess, yet hiding risk. The pine nut, small but sharp, tangling with taste and pills and breath. But this is not a list. It's a revelation. Aging isn't about avoiding danger. It's about choosing wisely. Narrowing the field, sharpening the spear. Every bite you take now should be functional. Loving. Strategic. I tell my patients, your food is your pharmacist. Your chef is your cardiologist. Your grocery bag is your prescription pad. Because after 65, we must become artisans of our own biology. We must move through our kitchens with reverence, like monks in a temple. There is such power in these small things. One walnut instead of one cashew. One Brazil nut instead of a spoonful of peanut butter. A shift so small it may feel pointless, but done daily, becomes sacred. Let me leave you with a story. Her name was Evelyn. 84 years old. Widowed. Fiercely independent. She came to my clinic not for treatment, but for truth. I feel myself fading, she said. But I want to walk into the light, not be dragged. We talked not about surgeries, but about sleep. Not about pills, but about pistachios. We replaced her bedtime snack of cheese and crackers with walnuts. Her morning toast with almond butter. We limited her cashews and tossed her peanuts. 3 months later, she returned. Her blood pressure was down. Her mind was clearer. She laughed more easily. She slept through the night. She walked with intention. Did food do all that? No. But it opened the door. It reminded her body how to heal. It reawakened a rhythm. A memory. A wisdom. And that is the medicine I now offer you. You are not broken. You are becoming. Becoming leaner, yes. Slower, perhaps. But also wiser. More tender. More attuned to what matters. You deserve a body that serves your soul until the very last breath. And it begins not with a prescription. Not with a diagnosis. But with a bowl of nuts. Choose carefully. Eat consciously. And never forget, the smallest seed contains the forest. There is a moment in every person's life, often after 60, sometimes earlier, when the body whispers what the mind has not yet heard. It's subtle. A missed step. A name forgotten. A bruise that takes longer to fade. You look in the mirror, and though the eyes are the same, something behind them feels changed. Time has begun to gather. Not as a threat, but as a reminder. And yet, what do we do in that moment? Many retreat. We tell ourselves it's normal. We call it just aging. We accept the decline like a tide we cannot stop. But what if I told you, you are not meant to decay? You are meant to adapt. To transform. To become luminous with wisdom, not dim with wear. The truth is, aging is not a disease. It is a shift. A shift that, if honored, reveals the most beautiful stage of all. But it requires something from you. It requires you to become the guardian of your own biology. The tender, deliberate curator of every bite, every breath, every hour of sleep. And yes, even every nut you place on your plate. Because in the end, it is not the size of the choice, but the size of the commitment that defines your trajectory. Let me ask you something. When did you last eat with reverence? Not just hunger. Not just routine. But with full presence, knowing that what you chew becomes your cells, your gait, your voice, your memory? This is not poetic sentiment. It is molecular truth. Your body remakes itself with what you feed it. Every 120 days, you have new red blood cells. Every month, your skin renews. Your muscles, your bones, even your synapses remodeled, rebuilt, recycled. And what are they built with? With food. With water. With rest. With movement. And with belief. I have seen octogenarians reverse diabetes. I've seen widows regain strength and walk unassisted. I've seen veterans in their 70s do push-ups again. Not because they took magic pills. But because they began to care. Not with panic. But with dignity. They understood this truth: it is never too late to nourish your temple. Yes, some damage cannot be undone. But healing does not mean going backward. Healing means becoming whole, right where you are. And so now, let us return one last time to the humble nut. A food that has no label. No barcode. No marketing campaign. Just nature, as it has always been. A single almond, calcium, magnesium, vitamin E, bone and heart and clarity. A walnut, omega-3s, polyphenol, thought, memory, sleep. A pistachio, potassium, fiber, carotenoids, pressure, digestion, vision. A Brazil nut, selenium, oils, antioxidants, thyroid, nerve, protection. In these tiny kernels lie ancient codes. They are not snacks. They are signals. They remind the aging body how to repair, how to resist, how to remain. And they whisper to your cells, you are not done. But choose wrong, and the signal is scrambled. Peanuts, mold, inflammation, confusion. Cashews, sugar, oxalates, subtle harm. Macadamias, richness without return. Pine nuts, interference, risk, false calm. So now, you know. And once you know, you cannot unknow. You are not simply eating anymore. You are building. You are restoring. You are declaring, with every choice, I still belong to life. And if you're watching this, it means something in you already knows it's time. Time to stop calling aging a descent. It is a narrowing, yes, but a narrowing toward essence. Toward truth. Toward the version of you that needs less noise and more nourishment. You are not being emptied. You are being refined. Your soul is still vast. Your purpose still unfolding. So ask yourself, if I could nourish my brain, my bones, my sleep, my heart, with one small change today, would I do it? If that answer is yes, then take this moment seriously. Go to your pantry. Replace the peanuts with almonds. Swap the cashews for walnuts. Set out 2 Brazil nuts on a napkin. Shell some pistachios and place them in a bowl, beside a book you've been meaning to read. Make this ritual sacred. It is not indulgent to care for your body. It is honorable. Because your children are watching. Your grandchildren are watching. And more importantly, your body is watching. You may not be able to reverse time. But you can slow the damage. You can build strength. You can rise again. And maybe, just maybe, the next time you stand from a chair and feel steady. The next time you walk outside and the sunlight feels good. The next time your memory is sharp, your hands are strong, and your voice is clear. You'll remember this moment. Not because of fear, but because of power. Because you made a choice not to surrender, but to steward. Because you realized, even at 60, 70, 80, the smallest nut can tip the scales of your health. Not with force, but with quiet, consistent strength. And that strength? It is already inside you. Now go. Nourish it. If this message stirred something in you, if you feel the call to care for your body with deeper reverence, then don't walk away, walk forward. Tap subscribe to walk this path with us. We are building a sanctuary of truth, of healing, and of hope for every senior and every soul who loves one. Share this with someone you care about. A parent. A partner. A friend. Because strength, when shared, grows stronger. And in the comments, tell me. What will you change today to honor your health? What will you let go of? I'm listening. And I'm walking beside you.